Hi guys, this is part 2 of What If Naruto Was Secretly Uchiha. If you have not, watch the first part on my playlist. I will be posting this What If frequently. Let's begin. Naruto was quite content with his new life within the past few days. He had family, he had met the Kyuubi, and was on relatively good terms with her, well, good terms as you can get with a giant fox stuck in your gut, and he got to spend time with his older brother. But to top it all off, he was finally learning right, like he should have been from an early age. He was currently having a rather nice dream about ramen. Yes, although he acted like an idiot with a ramen addiction, he actually liked the food, just not all the time, but it was one of his favorite foods, considering with the civilians not allowing him to shop at their establishments that he couldn't taste variety. His dream was suddenly called to a halt when he felt someone enter his bedroom. He reacted on his newly found instincts that were bashed into his skull by Itachi, and using his right hand he grabbed the person's wrists, whilst with the left hand grabbed a kunai that he now slept with and poised to strike the intruder's throat with the kunai. He stopped an inch from the person to note an amused look on his older brother's face. "Gah Itachi." Taking a note out of his younger brother's book, he replied simply, "Sup? Goddamn, I could have hurt you." A snort from Itachi was all he got in reply, showing how little he knew. For the past 2 weeks Itachi had been training Naruto. He kept the training schedule the same, but allotted a small period of time to teach him hinge so he could buy produce from civilian shops without being chucked out of overpriced. Of course the stupid civilians couldn't tell the difference, but the ninja gave him some rather amused looks of respect for being able to use hinge at his age. Naruto soon learned that Itachi was a nice person, but cold to people he didn't know, or if he was on a mission. To his family, however, he would protect them to the best of his ability. Naruto had come to respect that about the older boy. Mikoto came round every day and helped him learn how to cook, and like everything else he took to it rather quickly, learning all the basics of cooking and a balanced diet for growth, which was also important towards his taijutsu training. She had stayed at his house for a full day watching her newfound son train, and she couldn't be more proud. Not only did he understand what she and Itachi were trying to say about ninja who specialize, but also understood that his Sharingan did not mean instant victory like most of her clan came to think. No, he practiced whatever he learned. Naruto soon found that he enjoyed life more than before. His body was quickly becoming quite fit for his age, and if he took after his father, which it was quite clear that he did, then it would mean that the Hidden Leaf Village would soon have another speed demon on their hands. She was currently watching her son meditate to calm down after a stressful day of training. Everyone had a way to keep stress to a minimum within the shinobi careers. Kakashi had his porn book, Guy had his patented flames of youth, Asuma and Hiruzen smokes, and she doted on her family as much as possible. She just had an idea about how he could keep stress to a minimum and smirked whilst calling her eldest over to speak to her. "Itachi, what do you think of Naruto taking up pranking?" "Say what?" "Well, Kushina and Minato were both pranksters, and I think it would be good for him to train in stealth early on, not to mention that it would help him have an outlet against the village whilst being constructive and advancing his training. I think it's a good idea as long as his orange jumpsuit comes back out for his pranks. If you can hide in that thing, then you can hide anywhere." "Agreed. He will prank people on his time off. Do you think we should tell the Hokage?" "Nah, I'm sure he will find out on his own." They both looked at each other and smirked before calling Naruto over to explain the situation. "So let me get this straight. You want me to train my stealth by pranking people? Wearing my orange jumpsuit?" They both nodded and pretty much instantly regretted, because he had a smirk that sent chills up their spines, and heard an evil laugh with the sound of thunder behind him. They both had the same thoughts. What have we unleashed? They looked to each other and shrugged before going home and to bed whilst Naruto planned his first prank. A few days later they were all called into the Hokage's office and noticed the Umbu guards were struggling to keep in their laughter. The third Hokage was sat behind his desk in his battle armor. He smiled his grandfatherly smile and welcomed them. "What can we do for you today, Hokage-sama?" "Well, you see, I seem to be having an issue with my Hokage robes, and I thought you could shed some light onto this issue and how it occurred." They both nodded before he got up from his desk and led them to the cupboard in the corner of the room. Opening the cupboard, you could clearly see his normal Hokage robe and hat, except they were dyed neon orange. Instantly they burst out laughing, which happened to continue for another 5 minutes before they settled enough to talk to the Hokage. "My bad," Itachi said. "You're bad." "Kind of." "How so?" Shifting slightly on the spot, he sighed. "We wanted Naruto to train in stealth, so we told him to go pranking people in his orange jumpsuit without getting caught. Apparently you're his first victim. Do you have any idea what you've unleashed? He is exactly like Minato and Kushina when it comes to this. He won't ever stop. Oh, the paperwork." Both snuck away whilst his was crying anime tears with a sweat drop on the back of their heads. Pranks such as this continued for the rest of his training. 2 weeks later he had set up his title of Prankster from Hell. At the end of his 1-month physical training they stopped for a break whilst discussing what was going to happen next. "Your physical training is up for the moment, but that doesn't mean you stop. You will increase your warm-up by double with the now chakra weights since your control is decent enough to use them without wearing 2 tons instantly." Naruto groaned. If his physical training was up, then what was he going to be doing now? Upon voicing his question, Itachi smiled and said that he was going to teach him a few basic jutsu from each element, but went into explaining elements. Elemental jutsu is a jutsu that is aligned to an element, allowing a person to use it easier. An example of this is most Uchiha have a fire element, which makes it easier to use the Great Fireball as a rite of passage for people within the clan. Some people have 1 or 2 elemental natures. Sometimes if you're lucky you get 3, but I doubt that will happen since it's like a 1 in 1,000 chance. Naruto raised an eyebrow at this as if to say, "Really? Before we start, tell me, what is the difference between learning a jutsu and mastering one?" Naruto took a moment to think. Learning a jutsu was obviously learning the hand seals related to said jutsu and learning how to mold the chakra for it, so mastering the jutsu should have been 1 step above that. He voiced his confusing to his older brother, who smiled. Learning a jutsu is how to perform the jutsu, however on a battlefield, if 2 people use the same jutsu with one of them mastering it to the point of not needing all the hand seals for the jutsu, then who would win? The master. Good, so I will show you one jutsu today and you will spend the next week with your shadow clones mastering it to the point that you need less hand seals. To do this you will need to use the jutsu hundreds of times and then feel how the chakra is molded within yourself. Once you know how to mold the chakra with hand seals, cut 1 seal down and continue until you get to the end of the week and then show me your progress, okay? Naruto smiled and nodded happily. Itachi started him on his first Ketan Jutsu. Ketan, Gokakyu no Jutsu, a simple C-rank jutsu where the user gathers chakra in his/her lungs and sprays it out of their mouths in either a fireball or a constant stream or fire. And so the week passed with Naruto constantly spamming the C-rank jutsu. This not only helped him master the jutsu to a higher degree than normally, but they found out that his jutsu was stronger than normal, which indicated a strong fire nature. Naruto forcefully expanded his chakra reserves as well due to falling to chakra exhaustion nightly. The good thing about housing Kyuubi was that his chakra recovered quickly and allowed him to get up the next day and do the same. It came to the end of the week and Naruto was training around 8 hours a day with 200 clones. He dropped back from 300 because he wanted more chakra to be distributed to each clone. It was safe to say that Naruto had firmly mastered this jutsu to an extreme degree. Itachi and his mother were sitting on the ground watching him and called him over. "Naruto, you spent the past week training with 200 clones on this jutsu. Tell me, how far have you come?" Naruto smiled and explained, "I got it down from 7 hand seals to 2, but for some reason I couldn't get past the last one." Both older Uchihas smiled at him, a smile that was full of pride. Mikoto chose to explain, "Naruto, you will never be able to get to the last seal. No one can unless they have an incredibly high affinity for fire, as is the same for any other jutsu. You have mastered this jutsu, so show us how good it is." Naruto smiled and ran over to the dummy that was 25 feet away from his family. He didn't want them getting hurt obviously, and made 2 hand seals and took a deep breath. Exploding from his mouth was a fireball that looked like a miniature sun, 13 feet wide. The dummy never stood a chance. He turned round to see his mother and brother clapping and couldn't help but smile at them. He had worked hard for this and his determination had paid off. Well done, Otudo, I'm proud of you. Arigato Nisan. And what more is that you've just broken a record previously held by me. That jutsu is a rite of passage within the Uchiha clan. I was the youngest to learn it ever at 7 years old. You beat it and now hold the record, congratulations. Makoto was watching the exchange with pride in her eyes, although she wasn't sure if anyone would ever know that he was her son until he felt ready to tell the world. She was proud of him. This is how the next 2 months went. He learned 4 other jutsu within that time and mastered 2 of them to the same degree except his lightning jutsu. His lightning jutsu was incredibly strong, which led them to believe that he had a primary lightning affinity which a secondary wind and fire, all of which were incredibly strong offensive elements, but he lacked a defensive element. This didn't stop him from learning any defensive techniques with the Sharingan and then practicing them still. An example of an earth technique that he learnt was quite simply Doton, Dorihiki, which was a standard earth wall that was pushed up from within the air with the user slamming his hands into the ground. This is a B-class jutsu, so no matter what, it took a considerable chunk of chakra for anyone to perform this, but for someone aligned to a different affinity, let alone the opposite of Doton, then it would easily eat twice as much chakra. Naruto continued with this technique with 200 shadow clones for 2 weeks instead of 1 and eventually got it down to the point where he could use it with the normal chakra consumption rate, but had to use the full amount of seals necessary. He also learned a water jutsu that required a nearby water source to envelope the user in a barrier of water to protect against a fire technique. The more chakra you pump into it, the more water is used, thus providing a decent defense for most fire techniques. Naruto kept up his physical training as well, and Itachi finally decided he was fit enough to learn some of the Uchiha clan's fighting style known as the Interceptor Fist, which was designed based around the Sharingan and its predictive abilities. Itachi also explained that the Interceptor Fist was also designed to train a Sharingan user's eyesight to advance their Sharingan anywhere from 1 to 3 tomo, which naturally made Naruto happy because although he had his Sharingan activated, he still only had 2 tomo in each eye and was hoping to get to the 3rd tomo sometime next year by the time he started the academy. Itachi explained that even though their mother was a retired jonin, she was quite famous within Konoha and the resounding nations for her use of Genjutsu with the Interceptor Fist, allowing her to quickly end her opponents. Because she was a retired jonin, she wasn't allowed to teach shinobi, but Naruto was a civilian, so she had until he graduated to get him ready with her style. They began by going through the style's basics, footing, movement, and how the style was supposed to be used. The enemy was to attack first, and you were to respond quickly thanks to the Sharingan and quickly disable them. Naruto clearly stated that he didn't want to use clones to boost his taijutsu prowess with this style, because although they could use muscle memory to advance quickly, he wanted to learn his family styles without what he considered cheating. A week later he had the basics down. He could stand and fight at a basic level of a newly graduated Uchiha Genin, which was something for his age. He practiced for hours on end, only using shadow clones when he finally got the katas down himself, so it wasn't cheating when learning but keeping his skills fresh. He found the work grueling, and when he almost gave up he continued with the thought of getting better to protect his precious people. He would not give up, not again. Itachi and Makoto were both watching him as per usual and having a small discussion about him. I swear genius runs in your side of the family, Ka-san. Yes, well, he has his father as well who was a genius, so I suppose it's only natural. I would label him a prodigy at the rate he learns, but we both know he wouldn't like to be labeled as such. What do you think of his taijutsu? I think he has learned as much as possible until he grows taller. We forget his is only 5, so he isn't tall enough for the more advanced katas. Genjutsu then? Yes, I think we will work on his genjutsu and chakra control until he is about 8. That should allow enough time for him to grow into a healthy boy with a decent body for necessary for taijutsu. Agreed. Naruto, get over here, Itachi shouted. He walked over, taking a drink from a canteen full of water, and looked at them. We have decided that until you are older, around 8 or so, your body will not be able to advance within the Uchiha taijutsu style, so we will work for the next 3 years purely on chakra control and genjutsu. Who knows, maybe we can look at the theory behind jutsu creation to give you something to do in your spare time. Okay, I understand. Okay then, but first we need to see the Hokage about a training partner for genjutsu. Mikoto and Naruto looked at him like he grew a second head. Sometime later, Naruto, Mikoto, and Itachi were in the office of the Hokage. Itachi, how are you today? I'm doing good, sir. Good, good. He said whilst placing a silencing barrier around the room. Itachi, please report to me what has happened in the last 3 months of Naruto's training. For the first month he learnt what physical exercise meant in every meaning of the word. He still continues these exercises daily with added weights. We never got round to disabling his resistance seals. We were meant to ask you that today. Yes, I was wondering when you were going to ask. Simply focus your chakra on your seal in your stomach and do the genjutsu release to disable them. To re-enable them you have to focus the chakra again and say what level you want. Naruto nodded in understanding. In the next 2 months I taught him 5 ninjutsu, 1 for each element. It seems that he has a lightning as primary with wind and fire as secondary. Each jutsu except ones that weren't of his element have been mastered to use less hand seals. The Doton and Suiton both have been mastered to a degree where they only take the normal amount of chakra but the full amount of hand seals. He has learnt the basics of the Uchiha taijutsu style but can't learn anymore until he grows taller, which is why we are here. Turns out Kyuubi gave him a gift and apparently he is going to be a great genjutsu master someday with his eyes, so we need a genjutsu master to give him tips etc. for help. I was thinking of Kurenai. She is a chunin, right? He nodded in understanding. Yes, I will call her right away to help, but understand if she doesn't agree to keep it secret then she won't be helping. Understood. Umbu, find me Kurenai Yuhi and bring her here. 5 minutes later, and in walked a 5'2", 13-year-old version of Kurenai Yuhi, dress and all. Kurenai-chan, thank you for coming. She walked in nervously whilst eyeing the people in the room. She knew the little boy, of course, who didn't know him, and she knew Itachi, the prodigy of prodigies, but didn't know the woman. Kurenai, this is Naruto Uzumaki, Mikoto Uchiha, and Itachi Uchiha. Hello. We were wondering if you would like to take part in training a budding genjutsu master for the next 3 years. Of course it would be in the village and it would be secretive and whatnot, so whatever happens is an S-class secret between you, them and me. Understand? Hi Hokage-sama, I would love to help another genjutsu user. Who is it? He smirked in amusement as Naruto stepped forward and waved in a Kakashi-like manner. Sup? Is this a joke? What were you expecting? I don't know, but not a 5-year-old. This 5-year-old will be better than you in genjutsu by the time he is your age. Her mouth fell open. How was that possible? She worked relentlessly on her chakra control. How is that possible? I worked for years to get the control necessary for genjutsu. Shadow clones. What? Oh, never mind, it was classified as a kenjutsu, so I guess you wouldn't know of it. Let's just say my furry little friend gave me a present. She looked at him blankly. She didn't know of the Kyuubi because she actually followed the rules, but she still heard the whispers behind the boy's back. She heard how he was tossed off the Hokage Mountain 3 almost 4 months back and disappeared from public light. The civilians were convinced he was either dead or hospitalized in a coma, but the shinobi knew better. They knew he was biding his time except for those god-forsaken pranks that never led back to him. Fine. Please meet back here in 2 hours with a bag packed with shinobi gear and clothes for at least a month. You're staying at my new place to help train me. Sorry if you don't like it, but you will change your mind later, he said with a knowing smirk. She nodded and shunshined away. Naruto raised an eyebrow. Okay, next new jutsu to learn and master is the magical ninja teleportation jutsu, Naruto said with barely restrained glee. Everyone in the room gave a soft laugh, but they could understand it was a really useful jutsu, and whoever made it should be praised as highly as the log. 2 hours later, Kurenai arrived via Shunshin with a couple of minutes to spare and noticed everyone was still there. All right, I'm back now. What? We go to your new home for what may be the next 3 years. Don't worry, it had a lot of privacy for training, which is why we need you to live there with me. I can take care of myself if that is what you're worried about. I cook, clean and tidy up after myself and have for the past 3 months, so I won't get in your way. She nodded. In truth, that was exactly what she was worried about. She didn't care about training the boy, to be honest. If he was going to be as big as they said, then he would get trained, but she didn't want to act like a paternal figure to some 5-year-old. Before leaving, Naruto turned round to the Hokage and gave a little wave. See you in a few weeks, old man. Itachi grabbed Naruto whilst Mikoto grabbed Kurenai and Shunshin to the gate of his house. They went through the process of unlocking it and locking it again. Kurenai was amazed at the seals present on the gate and wasn't entirely sure of what to expect. Walking through the gate, she openly gaped at the house and the surrounding area. Kurenai, I will show you to your room, and then we can have a nice long chat about some secrets that must remain secret, but you will know them because you need to. Understood. Kurenai followed Naruto upstairs and showed her to the room across from his. She walked past the family portrait and raised an eyebrow at the picture of the fourth Hokage and some woman. Here we go. Join us downstairs in a couple of minutes and we will explain several things and give you a tour of the house. She nodded and proceeded to unpack his stuff whilst Naruto walked downstairs. 5 minutes later she joined them. Now I know you want some answers, so why don't you ask some questions? Who are you? Naruto Uzumaki Namake's Uchiha. Her jaw dropped again. This was the son of the fourth Hokage and was part Uchiha. She was starting to see why he was going to be talented. Why do people call you a demon on the streets? He sighed and ran his hand through his hair. 5 years ago my father defeated the Kyuubi and sealed it inside me. I am a prison and she is the inmate, but they can't seem to understand. Well, that's... Wait, did you say she? He nodded and she thrust her fists in the air screaming girl power. Mikoto smirked. Any other questions? Who is your mother? Kushina Uzumaki and Mikoto Uchiha. She stared at him for a moment, trying to figure out how that was possible. 5 minutes late she gave up and asked. My mother had the Kyuubi in her before me, but her seal was rushed and thus made her barren. Mikoto provided an egg which my parents used and her I am. Does that mean you will have the Sharingan? Already do. He smirked at her and his blue eyes faded into crimson red with 2 tomo in each. She would soon have to pick her jaw off the floor again. That has to be some kind of record for gaining the Sharingan? Don't know, got it 3 months ago. Why do you want trained in Genjutsu? With me having the Kyuubi in me, I have a lot of chakra, and I mean a lot. It will only increase in time. However, Kyuubi felt bad for my life for the first 5 years since I had beatings etc., so she gave me a little gift. Apparently I will be a supreme Genjutsu user with enough chakra to spam high-level ninjutsu all day long. I don't need trained in Genjutsu at the moment, just how to break them and maybe some help with chakra control or a spar with Genjutsu every now and then, because all my Genjutsu will be based at the moment until I get better at them. She nodded dumbly. She felt kind of cheated since he was apparently given a gift by Kyuubi, but she understood. Ninja use everything at their disposal. You understand that everything you heard today and from now on in this house is an S-rank secret? Add to that the fact that my lineage is a SS rank secret. If you tell anyone except the Hokage that you are training me or what, and you will be executed. Please don't, you're too pretty to be beheaded. She blushed whilst both Mikoto and Itachi raised an eyebrow at their son/brother. He was going to be trouble later down the line. Fine. This house is protected by seals for privacy. They were made by my father. The house itself has several bedrooms, bathrooms, and outside onsen, training grounds that repair themselves once again due to seals, a library that I'm not allowed to enter until I'm older apparently, and an armory. Feel free to look in the library, but nothing you take leaves this house. I mean that. We have space to practice if you take anything, but it doesn't leave this house under any circumstances. Not even the Hokage is allowed to take things from the library outside. Anything really important will have a blood seal on which you can't open, so don't try. Understood. Okay, then rest for tomorrow. We start training. She nodded and headed off towards the onsen to relax whilst the others continued to talk. 3 years have passed since Naruto started training with Genjutsu, and what a 3 years they have been. He lived up to his name of a prodigy multiple times, but after explaining how he didn't want to be named a prodigy because things get handed to them, Kurenai came to respect him a little bit more. He picked up Genjutsu like a fish to water. With his massive reserves he could break almost any Genjutsu and was currently looking for a way to use Genjutsu without his eyes. Why rely on something if you're a ninja? His brother and mother always told him that good ninja always have a backup plan and always have more than one way to get something done. Naruto quickly took to this philosophy even though he wasn't a ninja yet and made several rules that dictated his ninja way of life. These rules would help complete the mission whilst saving his comrades' lives in the field. It only took half a year to become proficient enough to break out of almost all of Kurenai's Genjutsu, and although he could break them with his Sharingan, he understood that it was a tool to be used as a last resort. He couldn't let the village know about it yet. After the first half of a year together, it came time for Naruto's birthday again. He stayed inside his house, of course, and a few people came round: Kurenai, Mikoto, Itachi, Kakashi, Yugao, Genma, and the third Hokage. All of these people he knew he could trust with his life and has done on several occasions, especially the Umbu that were with him. He knew they were assigned as his personal guards for the first 5 years of his life. Flashback. Naruto just finished some warm-down exercises from his daily training. Half a year, he mused. Half a year since Kurenai came into my life. It might have been rough at the start, but it got better, and my respect of her has only gone up since I've seen how proficient she is with Genjutsu. He grabbed a towel that was on the ground and wiped the sweat off his face whilst walking into the house. Instantly he was on guard. Something was wrong here, but he couldn't tell what. He slowly moved his hand down to his kunai pouch and got a kunai ready whilst continuing to walk towards his living room. As soon as he entered, he threw the kunai at breakneck speed and indented it within the walls, hearing a yelp. He was about to go and see who it was, but the lights turned on all of a sudden. He was blinded and heard them shouting surprise. Then it dawned on him. Today was his birthday, October 10th. He was 6 today. He smiled at them, but turned his head to the side and saw where his kunai had landed. In the wall was a kunai, but on the kunai was an orange book, and below it was an adult Kakashi crying about his precious dying. Naruto's sweat dropped and said sorry. He knew how Kakashi loved that book. His mother and brother walked over and hugged him first, then Kurenai and Yugao both gave him a kiss on each cheek, which caused him to blush like a tomato, and everyone else laughed. Happy birthday, Naruto. Thank you. They all went to open his presents, and for the first time in a long time he felt like a normal boy who had a family, maybe slightly weird family, but family nonetheless. He first opened Itachi's present and found it to be a scroll which was captioned Magical Ninja Teleportation Jutsu. Itachi smirked at his little brother's wide eyes. It was no secret how much he wanted to learn that jutsu. It was just so useful. He thanked his brother profusely. Kurenai gave him a scroll of her personal genjutsu that she had created when she was younger, Megan, Jubaku Satsu. He smiled at his friend/teacher. He hadn't expected her to teach him her own genjutsu. Kakashi was next and gave him a little package that looked like a book. Kakashi didn't feel all the ki coming off of every woman in the room as Naruto unwrapped the book. A Tale of an Utterly Gutsy Ninja? It was the book that you were named after. Your godfather Jiraiya wrote it. Remind me to kick him in the balls for not being here. Every male winced slightly as Kurenai patted him on the head. It seemed like she was having a slightly bad effect on him. Mikoto gave him a basic fire jutsu that shot several small fireballs out of a person's mouth at a target. Genma gave him one of his dad's three-pronged kunai and explained that it was given to him by his father and he was sure that he would want him to have it. Yugao gave him a book on how to keep his chakra sabers cleaned and maintained and promised him a spar when he started learning. The third Hokage went last and gave him 2 books, one on jutsu creation and one on the more advanced basics of Fuin jutsu. He smiled and hugged his surrogate grandfather figure. The night went on and everyone had a great time. All were invited to stay the night, but everyone declined, saying they had work in the morning. Naruto nodded and allowed them to leave, but not before thanking each of them again. Flashback end. It would be another 2 months until the academy started. Although he continued his genjutsu training, he made an extra 20 clones every day to practice his new ninja magic teleportation jutsu, which he soon found out was called a shunshin or body flicker jutsu. He once again showed them his genius and had it down within the first day, but kept practicing it. He felt that he could go fast and further the more he practiced. After 2 weeks non-stop practice with his clones, he found out something weird. When he would flicker away, there would be a bolt of lightning strike off his body. He soon found out that he was using an elemental body flicker on instinct, which to him was amazing considering he hadn't learned to properly transform his chakra into elemental chakra yet. He was too young still. He summarized that it was because he had such a high affinity to lightning that he could almost do it naturally, and that learning his first Raitun jutsu was enough to learn the basics of nature transformation. He also practiced the genjutsu Kurenai gave him, and for the life of him, he couldn't do it without his eyes. It really hurt his pride knowing that although he would be great at genjutsu, he would never be able to use genjutsu without his eyes properly. He knew that genjutsu took control simply because the chakra had to invade a person's chakra system and mold it a certain way to get the effects that she wanted. Deciding he would put it away until he had better chakra control, which would most likely be when he was a genin with his shadow clones working every day. He would read his jutsu creation book every day. He enjoyed reading about it and one day hoped to be able to create his own jutsu. There was even a bit about genjutsu creation in there. He read and reread that chapter of the book several times before an idea hit him. He may not be able to use genjutsu without eyesight, but what would happen if he used genjutsu without control? What would happen if he flooded someone else's body with his chakra, so much chakra that they couldn't move because of it, and if they couldn't move then they couldn't break it? Even if they could move, he doubted they could release it because the genjutsu release method needs a high chakra level that the chakra that was introduced to her system, and even if they could move it would still slow down their movements. He smiled at this thought. He could create a ninjutsu hybrid such as this for people who had such a high level of chakra that they would never be able to use genjutsu effectively. This could be a start of a revolutionary breakthrough with genjutsu. He immediately sent out 500 clones to work on it, and 6 weeks later he had it down so he could use it to an efficient level. He was so proud of himself and kept it secret from everyone until he asked Kurenai, Itachi, and Mikoto to come with him to the Hokage's office. They obviously agreed because when he dragged them there they knew it was important. Naruto was happy as he could be at the moment, and the others didn't understand why. Maybe it was the academy starting tomorrow. Hikari was sitting inside the seal by the lake watching through her container's eyes and was quite happy with what he had done. She saw potential for this jutsu against any Uchiha he ever had to fight and was glad he made this early on. If his chakra levels increased then this would help him against Madara when the time came for them to eventually fight. Barging through the door, Naruto had a smile on his face, and the Umbu guards did nothing since they all had outstanding orders to let him through at all times. "Hello Naruto-kun, why are you so happy?" "I created a new jutsu." Everyone in the room raised an eyebrow at this and wondered what the little genius had made, especially Kakashi, Yugao, and Genma, who were hiding on the walls as his Umbu guards. "Well, I have some free time, why don't you show me? Maybe I can bring my Umbu guards with me since you know them anyway." "Ye old man, let's go." He grabbed the old man's hand and shunshined them to his personal training field, and the others soon followed, knowing exactly where to go. The Hokage groaned. He wasn't used to being the one to be shunshined. It was usually the other way around. Everyone arrived seconds after them, and Naruto asked for a volunteer. The Hokage said he would do it, since if it was anything deadly he had best chance to get out of it without any pain. Naruto waved their concern off, explaining it was a genjutsu. Naruto ran through 27 hand seals and said, "Ninpu, Kimona no Shinin Yu." Everyone looked expectantly at the Hokage, but nothing happened. The Hokage went to ask what was meant to happen, but he found he couldn't move his body except his eyes. Everyone stood for about a minute before Kurenai asked what happened. Naruto replied, "I was looking for a way to be able to use genjutsu with my huge chakra reserves and found one." "How?" "When looking through the Jutsu creation book I got for my birthday, I found a genjutsu section and happily read it. I remembered the explanation from Kurenai and Itachi about how genjutsu took control to invade someone else's chakra system and manipulate it to make them see what they want them to see. I took this a step further. I figured that if anyone has such chakra as me without the control needed, then we should still be able to invade someone else's chakra system but not control it. This is the finished product. I invade someone's chakra system with so much chakra that they are paralyzed, and even if by some miracle that they can move, they won't be able to break it due to the amount of chakra in their system." He stopped the flow of chakra to the Hokage's system as he fell to the ground, panting, "Damn, that is deadly. How much chakra did you put in my system?" "About 50 Kage Bunshins worth. I'm labeling that an A-ranked Genjutsu due to the chakra usage. I'm guessing you can put more chakra into it as well?" He nodded. That was the minimum amount of chakra for it to work. They were all shocked. Also, it wasn't purely genjutsu, it's a ninjutsu hybrid. "Why?" Okay, Ka-san, Ni-san, don't take this the wrong way, but it kind of has a secondary effect of making a dojutsu useless whilst a person is under the jutsu." They both looked at each other before asking in unison, "How?" Naruto sighed. "It invades the chakra network. Even if you have a Sharingan, you can't dispel it because of the amount of chakra it uses. It's the same aspect of the Nidame's bringer of darkness genjutsu, except mine can use more chakra." Everyone was amazed by this, and Naruto just smiled at his creation. He accidentally created a Sharingan-proof genjutsu that can be used against them. Everyone left the training ground, but Naruto gave a copy of his new genjutsu to the Sandaime to add to the Forbidden Scroll. Even if someone somehow managed to copy the hand seals, they couldn't use it due to the amount of chakra needed, so he was fine. The next morning Naruto woke up a couple hours early like always and done his morning regime. Today the academy started and he was going to meet his brother and his cousin walking towards the academy under the guise of being his brother. Charge and walk to the academy together. All was going well until they actually met. Naruto had never met Sasuke before, and his mother and brother asked him to look after him in the academy and maybe try to stop him being so arrogant. He asked why he was arrogant, and they responded saying that her husband wanted a weapon that acted like an Uchiha. He thought Itachi failed as a weapon, so he was trying to mold his cousin into one. Itachi openly snorted at that. His cousin had skills, sure, but he was nowhere near Naruto's level, and Sasuke was training at the age of 4 before Naruto. It was safe to say that he would have his stepfather's holier-than-thou attitude and was probably already falling for the Uchiha curse and doesn't realize it. According to Itachi, he hadn't activated his Sharingan either, which was slightly disappointing. By the time Naruto entered the academy, his weights were around 20 kilograms apiece, except his wrists were set to 25 for hand seal training. Walking up to Itachi and Sasuke, who seemed to be waiting for him, he waved hello and saw his brother smile whilst his cousin scowled. "What kept you, dope?" Naruto inwardly growled, not wanting to start something, and just ignored it. "Itachi, thank you for waiting for me. I'm sorry I took so long, but on the way here I met Kakashi, and he took me for a tour on the road to life. Unfortunately, we got lost together and had to find our way back." Itachi fell mid-step, mumbling something about Kakashi being a bad influence and how he was going to hide his Ika Ika books. Across town, Kakashi felt a shiver go down his spine. I feel a disturbance in the force. Must be Naruto getting me in trouble again. Let's go, we don't want to be late, right? They both nodded and walked towards the academy in a comfortable silence, ignoring the glares towards Naruto. It seemed that after almost a year the civilians realized that he wasn't dead but changed his clothes. Idiots. His older brother warned him of things in the academy being extremely slow and one of the worst fates that young men can befall, fangirls. Naruto had already talked to his mother about this, and she explained that fangirls were the worst of the worst, and if he ever considered dating one she would knock some sense into him. He had already decided to be the dead last of the class before it even started to provide the villagers some more time when they think that he is stupid to provide some sort of comfort. When he told the Hokage about this, he agreed with his decision and praised the fact that he was thinking ahead, which was a skill quite a few shinobi still lack. Arriving at the academy, Itachi gave them both a pat on the back whilst waving goodbye. It was one of the ways Itachi showed affection to anyone. They both walked into class to only hear a loud squeal like a pig. Naruto turned around and saw some blonde and pink-haired girls glomp their Sasuke-kun, whilst Naruto tried his best not to laugh at the scowl that was forming on his face. Taking their seats, Naruto sat at the back of the class behind everyone, hoping not to get noticed, whilst Sasuke sat by the window with both of his new fangirls sitting beside him staring dreamily. "Hikari-chan, you awake?" You say something, Naruto?" "I'm bored, and I'm sure this is going to be boring as hell. Any ideas?" "Learn the timetable, and every day except taijutsu practice send a clone, and you do whatever you want?" "Works for me. By the way, congratulations on the jutsu you made yesterday. I was quite enjoying the faces of everyone looking through your eyes." "I forgot you look through my eyes. Wait a minute. Does that mean you watch me in the shower, Hikari-chan?" She blushed, her of all people. Demons do not blush, so she decided to get her own back on him. "Only if you want me to Narukuin. I'm sure Kurenai-chan will join us," she whispered in a husky voice whilst he turned beet red and she stuck 2 fingers up in a victory sign. Note to self, never try to flirt with a 1,000-year-old demon. Naruto was pulled out of his thoughts when a man walked in and sat at the front of the class. "Hello class, my name is Irika." Naruto tuned out here, and at break time, after finding out about his timetable, he created a shadow clone with enough juice to last the day. It whined about why he had to be the one to go to class, but eventually did it on the condition that he can act like a moron playing pranks. And this is how the next 2 years passed. Naruto would train whilst his clone would go to the academy. He would only go on taijutsu days, but as soon as that was over he would sneak away again. The hidden Anbu found this rather amusing to watch, because he was a kid and knew the shadow clone jutsu. From his clone's memories, Naruto noticed that Sasuke was getting rather agitated lately and asked what was wrong, but all he got was "none of your business, dope." Of course he already knew what was happening because of his mother and brother, and he was inclined to agree with them on the matter. It turned out that the Uchiha clan was split down the middle. Some were not happy with things since Hikari attacked, and others just didn't care. They were planning a coup against the Hokage and the council to take control of everything and in the end use Naruto as a weapon. Like hell was Itachi, and Mikoto let them do that. It was getting rather close to the date now, and talks had all but failed with the Uchiha clan. Naruto was worried that the elders would force the Hokage to do something drastic, and his fears were confirmed when Itachi came to see him 2 days before the extermination of the clan commenced. "Otudo, you know about the coup, right?" "Hi. I've been tasked as the exterminator." "Meaning?" "I will kill them all, except Sasuke. I want him to rebuild the clan in honor." "What will happen to you?" "I will take the blame, make it look like a young Anbu captain couldn't handle the stress and snapped. I will become an S-rank Nugenin and protect Konoha from the outside." His eyes widened. "Oh hell no. Not another one of my family is going to be used as a goddamn scapegoat again. Come with me now." Itachi looked worried. He had never seen his brother this angry, so he decided to follow him. Barging into the Hokage's office, he saw the 2 elders and the Hokage there. Elders, get the hell out. This is a private conversation. Watch what you say, boy. Learn some manners. If you don't get the hell out within 5 seconds, I will do one of two things. A, I will put you under a genjutsu and make you watch yourselves slaughter your family whether they are already dead or not continuously for a couple of hours, or B, I will go to the fire daimyo and explain to him how you treated the heir to the Namikaze clan. Which will it be? Everyone in the room paled, the elders because they didn't think the boy knew how to do either, or the fact that he knew about his parents. Without a doubt he just made his life harder, but they nodded and left. The Umbu were secretly praising the ball on this boy. He would make a fine ninja one day. Activating his Sharingan that was now finally fully matured due to the amount of rage that he was feeling at the moment, and then shifting into his Mangekyo Sharingan, Sarutobi gulped. It was obvious that Naruto didn't care about the Umbu in the room, so the Hokage quickly put a silencing seal up so only the Umbu could hear this conversation. Umbu, whatever you see or hear you will never repeat or you will die. Which one of the elders' bright idea was it to use my brother as a scapegoat for this fucking village? Hiruzen gulped. Even with the boy's Mangekyo Sharingan blazing, he could tell that this was all like his father when he was angry. Denzo. That fool who still runs Root. How did you know about that? Don't take me for a fool. I see them following me, trying to find a way to make me into a weapon for him. Sarutobi was seething now. You have some of his goons in lockup, right? Yes, we've been trying to get the seal off of them that prevents them from talking about Danzo. Why? Let me explain this to you first. If you ever, and I mean ever, use one of my family for any type of scapegoat for this village like I was, so God help me the council and this village will not be safe from my wrath. Do you understand? He nodded quickly. Truth be told, he was hoping he wouldn't find out about this, but he should have known better. Good, Itachi will still exterminate our clan. I will help. My stealth is so high that your Umbu can't find me, and with my Sharingan it will be easier to hide and get the job done. We will leave my cousin alive like the original plan, and we will put my mother in a false death state to be confirmed dead by a medic of your choosing, where she will be taken to my compound and live. She will change her name and wear a modified hinge when out and about. Then after we are done, Sasuke will arrive just in time to see me and Itachi in Umbu uniforms tying up the Root operatives, at which point we will blame Danzo. Sasuke lives and has Itachi, and my mother stays alive, and we get rid of the traitors who are planning the coup and Danzo. Everyone in the room blinked. They were all just outplanned by an 8-year-old boy. Why the hell didn't they think of that? They all nodded, and the Hokage took this moment to speak. The most promising Uchiha besides you and your brother was found dead last week, his eyes removed. They both looked shocked. Who? Shisui Uchiha. Oh damn. He had a Mangekyo as well, the only one apart from Naruto here. Itachi informed them. What did his do? I've still to learn the techniques for mine because I didn't want my eyesight getting worse. He had a special ability to place such an intricate genjutsu that even you would be hard-pressed to break it, because the person is normal, not aware they are in a genjutsu. It bends the person to the caster's will. Naruto's eyes reverted to his 3-tomoed Sharingan. Sounds like a useful tool for politics. You have a point anyway. If you are going to be helping Itachi tonight, even though I don't want you to, but I doubt you will listen to me, and since you are a civilian I don't have control over you, and if I don't catch you in the act then I can simply ignore it. You will need Umbu gear. You will be promoted to temporary junior Umbu, meaning you don't get an Umbu tattoo, but you get uniform and tools, etc. Sweet. What code name do you want? Ghost. Everyone raised an eyebrow at that. Why? Well, when I don't want to be found, you won't find me. It's simple. Also, I will take the standard Umbu Tanto because my chakra sabers are too recognizable even if I haven't started learning yet. The Hokage activated a seal on his desk and a secret door opened. Inside were masks of previous and yet to be used Umbu masks. Pick on. Walking through the hall, he was finding some nice masks, but none felt right until he found a dusty one right at the end. It looked like no one touched it in years. He understood as soon as he saw it. A pure black mask with red markings on each cheek and above the eyes, proving to be a fox mask. He smiled. No one picked this mask, and the mask picked him. Picking it up, he walked over to the Hokage, who looked at it and nodded in his choice. After all, it was understandable. The Hokage gave him his uniform, and it was way too big, but he put it on anyway, and it seemed to suck some of his chakra and resize. He looked at Itachi and the Hokage, and they both answered the unasked question, one size fits all. How do I look? He asked with his uniform and mask on. Itachi was the first to reply like a soldier. Good. When is the coup taking place? Tomorrow night at 2 in the morning. How are we going to get Sasuke out of there for this to happen? The Hokage raised his hand like he was back at the academy. I will assign him a trainer for the night and tell him even the best ninja train at night, and that it is what you do, Itachi, and he will do it. I will make sure he ends the session at 5 to 2 in the morning, so make sure to have it all done by then. Hi Hokage-sama, both replied in unison and shunted to Naruto's compound. As soon as they got there, Naruto found himself embraced in a hug by his older brother. He noticed his mask was off and he was crying. I'm so proud of you, Otudo. I would have happily taken the blame if it meant keeping you and your cousin safe. Itachi ni, sometimes taking the blame isn't enough. Sometimes you must have someone to look out for you or you fall into despair. I almost did 3 years ago, but you and Ka-san came into my life, then Kurenai and Yugao, not to mention Genma and Kakashi. All of you saved me. If you did this, then who would save Sasuke? Who would be his light? His eyes widened. He hadn't thought about that. He was trained as a weapon to think in the now and not the future. How could he not think about Sasuke and Naruto? He thanked the gods that he decided to tell Naruto today. Go get Ka-san and bring her here. We need to explain things. He nodded and disappeared to bring his mother here. Naruto sighed. Tomorrow was going to be a long day and probably was going to be the start of a long ninja career. He was only 8, but he would take this burden on his shoulders to lighten the load of his brothers. Hikari was no longer a burden but a friend. Hikari, are you awake? Did you hear all of that? Yes, and I must admit I'm quite proud of you. Thank you. What do you think about all of this? The Uchiha clan was doomed to fail as soon as I gave them their eyes. It's just luck that it happens to be when you were here so your brother and mother don't suffer. Thank you, Hikari-chan. You always make me feel better when it comes to things like this. What are friends for? Please be on standby tomorrow night in case I need rapid healing. Something might go wrong with this plan of mine. You got it. Just as she said that, Itachi arrived with their mother, who was looking rather flustered at being pulled aside rather quickly. All right, you two, what's going on, and why the hell in my baby boy in Umbu uniform? Naruto sighed and started his tale. You know of the coup that's happening tomorrow night? Well, it's not happening now. Mikoto brightened up at this and asked why. Itachi and Naruto looked at each other before sighing. They do that way too much at the moment. The honorable elders coaxed Sarutobi into exterminating the clan. You would have died even though you had nothing to do with the coup and were against it, and the only one that would be left is Itachi and Sasuke, but Itachi would be held responsible and turn Nuke protecting Konoha from the outside. He would be registered as an active ninja with wonder rights like the Sannin, except he would be classified at SSS ranking in secrecy. She looked shocked and looked at Itachi to see him still crying from earlier. I'm sensing him, but here? But he told me beforehand, and I might have threatened the elders and Hokage into submission with a new and better plan. You what? I threatened the elders that if they didn't do what I wanted, I would place them under a genjutsu that would make them watch themselves slaughter their family for hours on end and mentally break them, or I would go to the fire daimyo and explain what happened to the Namake's heir. Obviously they both agreed quickly, and my life will get a lot harder, but it was all worth it and I would do it again. What did you threaten the Hokage with? I told him that if he ever tries to use any of my family as a scapegoat again, then he or this village would not escape my wrath. She scowled at him and he just laughed nervously. You idiot. She went to smack his head but instead hugged him. But you're my idiot and thank you for whatever you did at the moment. You never have to thank me. So why isn't the coup happening now? I came up with a better plan. How? Danzo isn't as smart as he thinks. He thinks I don't notice those fools with blank white umbu masks with the symbol NE on them following me to make sure I don't turn on this village. The fool. It took me a day to find out who and what they were just by looking in the archives. His little umbu unit are now the scapegoats. Itachi will still exterminate the clan and I will help, hence the umbu gear. My stealth is higher than most umbu and with my Sharingan I can hide even better. I will be able to watch his back from attackers whilst we do what is needed to be done. Sasuke will be kept alive and so will you unofficially. Officially you will be listed upon the deceased, but you will be in a false death state and will be checked first by the medics, at which point you will be pronounced dead. You will move in here, change your name and wear a modified hinge outside. Only a few will know of your existence. You will be for all terms and purposes dead and another woman will arrive to adopt me, which will be you. Itachi will look after Sasuke and I will keep an eye on him as well. Sasuke will be training with a personal trainer from the Hokage at night with the excuse that it is what Itachi did to get stronger, since we all know he wants to beat Itachi. He will finish at 5 to 2 in the morning when me and Itachi finish with the clan. He will arrive just as we finish tying up the ones responsible, which are the 5 root agents we have in holding. Danzo will be forced to flee or die and the Uchiha clan lives on. Mikoto stood there with wide eyes at the plan. How long did it take you to come up with this? 5 minutes. Once I heard who it was that coaxed the extermination. It was Danzo, so he must have something to gain, and I'm thinking that it is all the Sharingan eyes, so me and Itachi will be sealing up their bodies as we go to prevent any of them getting into the wrong hands. It will be played off as Danzo trying to gain more power and the secret will be held with us. Danzo won't talk because although he wants to be Hokage, he still loves this village even if he doesn't show it. She hugged her 2 sons at the same time and cried, I'm sorry you two have to do this. No one should have to do something like this. It is for the good of the village and we will still have each other. She nodded and they parted ways, getting ready for tomorrow night. They sighed yet again. This was going to be a long 2 nights, and he hoped that he could live with what he had to do. Crow, are you ready? Hi Ghost, you are my backup, watch my back. Killing is allowed, but only do it if you need to protect me or if one is about to blow our cover. These are not our family, remember that. Family doesn't betray family. Hi Nisan. The old man has cleared the route for entry for us, and all Umbu know to stay away from this sector tonight. It is currently 10 p.m. We have just under 3 hours to do this. Let's get it done. Seconds turned to minutes. Minutes turned to hours as the night went on. Blood was everywhere, but no bodies. They couldn't take the chance that they were being followed by Danzo and his men. 2.5 hours later they finished all but Itachi's immediate family. They both looked at each other and gave a tired nod before jumping to the roof. They still had half an hour before the coup took place and Sasuke was nowhere in sight, which they were thankful for. Dropping from the roof and hanging from the ceiling via chakra, they watched as their mother and father were sitting down talking. She was stalling. Nodding to each other they dropped to the floor silently and stood behind Fugaku Uchiha. They stopped talking. So Itachi, you have chosen your path? Hi Two-san. How many are left? Sasuke, you, Mom and my brother. Fugaku's eyes widened. Brother? Hi. Where is he? With us here. He helped me tonight so that the burden didn't fall to me alone, and for that I will be forever thankful. Allow me to see this child then. Itachi nodded to his brother, who took off his mask as Fugaku turned and gasped. You. Hello Fugaku. Who is your father? Minato Namikaze. He growled, that fool. He helped doom this clan even in death. Naruto put his mask back on, and through the eye holes you could see his fully matured Sharingan. Itachi chose this point to continue. Sasuke will live. You chose your path. Don't waver now, son, but note two things. 1. I am proud of you even though I never acted it. 2. Sasuke will fall to his hatred for revenge and eventually kill you both. Then so be it, we will be waiting. With that he stabbed his father through the heart and cried before a burning pain at the back of his eyes appeared. He wanted to scream but couldn't because his brother had his hand over his mouth. Their mother looked on in shock. Itachi's eyes changed from a 3-tomoed Sharingan to a 3-starred pinwheel Mangekyo Sharingan design. Itachi calmed down after a moment and his brother hugged him. Welcome to the club. He nodded, understanding what happened. They turned to their mother. I'm going to hit you in your neck. When you wake up you will be in my house and I will probably be asleep, okay? She nodded. Ka-san, I'm sorry what has happened tonight and I love you. I love you too as well. She felt a sharp pain in her neck and noticed a small sunbond piercing it before she blacked out. Leave her here, but remove the sunbond and place some blood on her chest so it looks like we stabbed her through her heart as well so the doctors won't check the wound. Naruto nodded and did as told. I'm sorry I let you activate your Mangekyo. I knew it would happen, but I honestly felt that it was you who had to be the one to do what was needed for your father. I will always be here for you, my brother. He nodded, satisfied with the answer. Shall we meet our cousin outside in about 2 minutes? Yes, we need to set up the stage still, right? Don't forget to turn off your Sharingan so he doesn't know another Uchiha lives. Naruto nodded and started to leave before turning to look one last time at his mother. A tear fell down his face. It suddenly hit him how much he killed tonight, how many family members lost someone before they met their demise, and why it had to be done. Itachi noticed and hugged him. Don't crack yet, Otudo. We have one more, then we can cry all we need. Naruto nodded. Walking outside and unsealing several routine from prisoner transport scrolls already tied, gagged, and knocked out, they both stretched and sighed. Tonight was beginning to go on and they were both starting to feel the fatigue of events both physically and mentally. Naruto nodded to Itachi and Itachi clicked once on the radio to give the signal to the Hokage and his Umbu guards. Just as he had done that, Sasuke came running round the corner panting. Itachi looked to Naruto and Naruto nodded towards his brother. He removed his mask. Sasuke gasped at seeing his brother behind the mask, who was still crying. What have you done, Itachi? Saved your life. What? Our clan has been massacred. Me and this Umbu beside me were patrolling when they were finishing and we subdued them. They would have come for you if we hadn't stopped them. What about Ka-san? Tusan? Dead. Everyone is dead. This was killing both Itachi and Sasuke. Itachi had to do his best not to act guilty and keep his emotions in check, and Sasuke just learnt that his family has been torn apart, that he is one of the last Uchiha. Before either could comment, Itachi put his mask back on and stood at attention, the same as Naruto. The Hokage had arrived with his 3 guards, Kakashi, Genma, and Yugao. They all knew who were behind the masks and were shocked at the scene they fell into. Kakashi had trouble believing his best friend's clan had been exterminated, even though he knew it was true, and Genma and Yugao both had trouble believing that Naruto had done this with Itachi. None would voice the concerns. Naruto sped behind Sasuke and hit the back of his neck, knocking him out. There was no need to hear this. Crow, Ghost, report. Both Umbu took off their masks and looked up to show the group their tear-filled eyes, and the group instantly understood. For Itachi it was killing his kinsman, but for Naruto it was his first kill, but not just one, several. They would both need time after this. Mission accomplished, Hokage-sama. He nodded solemnly and asked Yugao to check the body of Mikoto since she was a trained medic. She nodded and walked into the house. She was a battle-hardened shinobi, but even she was feeling slightly ill at the scene in front of her. Both Mikoto and Fugaku Uchiha were covered in blood. She checked the pulse on Mikoto and found none. Walking back outside, she looked at them and said, "Sir, no pulse." "Good. Continue with the plan. Come to my office in an hour." "Hi, Hokage."